So first, a little bit about Advantage. We are a leading provider and integrator of RightFax, CloudFax, and document delivery solutions for over 20 years. We are #1 in RightFax sales and support in North America and 2017 OpenText's top 3 value-added resellers. North American-based support desk with an experienced staff of certified engineers, and a global customer base including Fortune 100 companies, major hospitals, and government agencies. We are also an OpenText partner support, partner reseller platinum, and partner distributor. We will now move on to the OpenText procedures and policies to show the latest releases and release schedules. So, as part of OpenText release schedule policy, new features are released once a year, with RightFax 16.4 being the latest feature release. This was done because in the past releasing too many service packs and feature packs. While it did fix bugs and features, it also introduced new bugs. Having more time between these releases will allow a more thorough testing period, and in turn, make the release more stable. Now we'll quickly review what is current maintenance versus sustaining maintenance. Current maintenance is the first 3-year period following a new version release of RightFax where the software is fully supported. When a version of RightFax is under current maintenance, users may request feature enhancements, access to technical and product information, webinars, forums, and events. When current maintenance expires, a RightFax version enters sustaining maintenance stage and will continue to be supported on a limited basis by OpenText. Users can expect limited technical support, an ability to report product bugs, and no new development work on that version. So, as you can see from the RightFax support schedule, RightFax 10.6 will still be fully supported until November 2018. If you are running a version of RightFax that's in sustaining maintenance, which would be 10.5 or earlier, we should talk about getting you upgraded to a fully supported version. With RightFax 16.2 and 16.4, we will see more new customer experience features. Let's review some of the key features now. So for years, our customers have been requesting a client that does not require as much IT investment. However, they wanted it to have the same functionality as a thick client. With the release of RightFax 16.4, FaxUtil Web is a web-based client that has all the same functionality of the original FaxUtil. The benefit of this new web client is that it allows for a reduction of the required effort to support RightFax on hundreds or sometimes thousands of desktops. This is perfect for any organization that wants to reduce the amount of client software they have to manage. The Web Admin feature was introduced in 16.2 but continues to be available in 16.4. With the new Web Admin, you will have support for all browsers and mobile devices with the same functionality as EFM. Please note that this cannot be accessed using Internet Explorer 10, but you're safe as long as you use an HTML5 compliant browser. Users will also see that it is able to replicate the existing thick client in your RightFax environment while replacing the legacy web EFM tool. Again, this cuts down on client software and allows administrators to manage their RightFax system from anywhere. We'll wrap up customer experience features with a few additional web admin improvements. OpenText has created the ability to update and register all MFPs to simplify the process of managing and centralizing an organization's entire fleet of MFPs. Additionally, users will have more delegation control and the ability to download event logs to ease troubleshooting. OpenText shows commitment to enhancing the administrator's tool set for RightFax by incorporating these additional web admin features. Okay, now we'll do a brief demo of the RightFax FaxUtil Web and the RightFax Web Admin. So, as you can see from the screen, there is now a new entry level to all the RightFax web apps. It is just called RightFax. So in this case, we're going to the URL of the server name /RightFax. It brings you right to this top level website, and from here I have access to do just about almost all my web admin. So let's start with the button that says Web Client, which brings us to the Fax Util Web. So as you can see, very similar to the thick client. You have your folders to the left, your all, main, and trash. You have your fax lists here. Right now I only have one fax. Let's take a look. So a double click brings you right in. And you have your tools for viewing. So you can zoom out, zoom in. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. Your rotation tools, annotation tools along here. You also have the ability, just like in the thick client, from the fax itself to route it, forward it, print it using a server print, obviously delete. You can add it to the library, add it to a form, you can add comments, and you can view or change statuses here. I'm going to exit out. Next thing we're going to look at is sending a new fax. So if I go new fax here, again, very similar to the thick client. I have the ability to put in a to name, which is required in most cases, not always, but in this case it is, the destination, and other information that goes on the cover sheet, such as voice number, company. You also have the ability to change your cover sheets, view a cover sheet, add a comment for your record. Here's your attachments area where you can either choose a library document or browse for a file. And you also have your billing codes here. You could send it at this point, or you can go into your more advanced options. Let me add the recipient first and show you. So it says one recipient, and you can add additional. In this case, I'll go into my options now, and I can decide if I want to do a delay send, I want to do a certified delivery, or maybe a hold for preview. I also have some conversion settings here, just like in the thick client, automatic delete, and my priority. On this side, you have the ability to change cover sheet information from the from field. Usually that is pre-populated from AD, but if you wanted to at a one-time change a name, you have the ability to do that here, just like, again, the thick client. So they did a great job of mimicking the feature set of the thick client on the Fax Util Web. So let's cancel out of here. You also have phone books. I'll click on phone books. You'll see that you can create a new phone book. You can edit or delete. There was nothing here to show you, but if I had, I could do it. And then you have your ability to change your delegates and also change your settings, all from this client, all from the web client. Let's go to home now, and let's go into the new web admin. Now, what's different about the web admin than the EFM is the entryway now brings you right to the dashboard. So there's always a slight delay while it builds out your dashboard, and the dashboard's pretty neat. It shows you what's going on with your faxes, to see your channels, to see your work requests, CPU usage, fax by volume, and queues. So you can get a good feel of what's going on in real time with your fax server right from here. This is always when you come in, it'll bring you to the dashboard. You have the ability to look at your channels in real time, just like the EFM, and you'll see what the channel is doing. Is it sending, receiving? You can get information about the fax coming in, such as the remote ID and the rate of the fax, usually 14.4, and the route code that either sent or received. Your services, just like the thick client, you can highlight them and stop and start. So you click them, and you can then stop, start, or restart. You can sort by status, running time, or startup. Everyone's familiar with users here, so this is just like the users in EFM, where you can highlight a user, checking it, hitting edit. Now you can go in and have the ability to do all the things you could do from the thick client, such as change the user ID or username, link it to your domain account, change your routing code and your route type and file formats. You also have the ability to change groups. Really just about everything you can do from the thick client you can do from here. Same thing with groups. I only have one, so I can click edit, and you will see, very familiar. There's your notifications, your cover sheets, all the things you do from EFM. Your auto aging, very easy to do, mimics it perfectly. And all the other things as I work my way down, signatures, forms, printers. Some of the other things I want to show you while I'm in here that might be a little different is now you have the ability to view the event log directly from WebEFM, which is really nice. So you can see, and again, you can sort them by date and time, source message, you can filter on errors or warnings or information. You also have the ability to do your dialing rules. So if I do new dialing rule, I have the ability to create a dialing rule with all the same function set as the thick client. And what's new now is the ability to do your MFPs right from here. So you have the ability now to import, maybe check your licenses, and even configure the EDC. So the common theme is centralized administration. In previous versions of RightFax, we'll say pre-16.2 especially, you needed 3 different utilities to basically do certain things. You needed the fax utility to delegates, you needed the EFM for basic generic administration, and then you needed the EDC module for your MFPs. Now you could do everything from the web EFM. You can change your user information, you could look at your channels in real time, that's not new, but you can now download the event log or look at the event log, do your MFPs directly from one interface. So it makes it a little easier. I think it's just a little bit of a smoother interface, not having to worry about going to different clients and different web clients to do different administrative functions. I'll go back to the home now, and I'll mention real quickly, there is a little analytics tool that you would enter from here, and also the ability to change which server you're working on right from here. All right, we'll now continue with the slide presentation. Okay, next we'll move on to some of the new business process features. RightFax 16.2 introduced the capability for users to search the fax metadata, making it easier to find faxes based on date, time, or page count, or any other metadata associated with the fax. However, users weren't able to easily search the inbox and find faxes based on keywords or content. With 16.4, users can OCR faxes and store that information directly into the RightFax database. This allows for keyword searching of faxes. So in this picture, we see the user searching for the name Simmons. With content search, you will see the exact fax that contains the requested keyword and see the keyword highlighted upon opening the document. This is the first time OCR and search have been combined in a RightFax release. This makes it easy to find faxes in FaxUtil. End user workflows now become much simpler, allowing users to easily search not only the metadata but also the fax content. Users ask for an easy way to quickly view and navigate the information in their fax without opening the entire fax document. OpenText listens. The new Fax View thumbnail allows users to easily preview fax documents and improve the usability and visibility of fax content. So this speeds up navigation and provides greater visibility in large faxes. Organizations that need to quickly reference content in multiple large faxes will find the greatest benefit with this feature. So for many years, we've been asked by our customers, what is the best way to archive faxes? Users requested the ability to keep their faxes on the fax server indefinitely. RightFax admins are pushed to run a streamlined system with a strict aging policy that removes the faxes from the server after a set time period. This new add-on module will allow organizations to keep their faxes in users' inboxes indefinitely. If you want to have a retention policy of 6 or 7 years or longer, you can now do it. The archive module moves the faxes out of the RightFax database and into an archive database. You then access the faxes through the RightFax client or web client by clicking on the archive folder. This does not affect RightFax's ability to integrate with other applications. This is an add-on that will require a purchase. The pricing is currently to be determined. So this is helpful for organizations who need to retain faxes for an extended period of time, but do not want old faxes building up in a user's inbox. Okay, let's do another brief demo on some of the features we just went through in the previous slides. So let's go into the content search. To do that, we're going to go into the thick fax utility here. Bring that up. And as you can see from this icon here, I did an OCR on this fax, this 3-page fax. Let's take a look at it. Just so you know, OCR is not done on the cover sheet, but it is done on the additional sheet. So if we look here, we can search on any one of these words or on any one of these. Let's do a search on the word sample. So let's close this up. As you can see, we have 3 faxes here. So now if I do a search for the word SAMPLE, without hitting enter or anything, it's searching right now, and it only brought up the 1 fax. So it found the word sample, and we can go in and view it. If I clear it, it'll bring the other faxes up again. And there's also, obviously, just like in previous versions, you can search on metadata, but they organized it a little different now. So now you can go into an advanced search, and you have all these fields that you can filter on. So if you only want to see send, received, all the statuses you could filter on, but you also have this new find feature. So now if I want to search for, let's say, to from test only, I can search, and the only one that show up is test. So it's pretty nice. I can clear it, go right back to all your faxes again. So I think the takeaway from this is the content search, which could be very powerful, especially in certain workflows where you might have certain data in a fax. Let's say it was a Word document that was faxed and you did an OCR on it. Now you could search on content, and that becomes really handy, especially when you have a lot of faxes. Let's minimize this and let's go into the EFM. And a couple of things. We mentioned earlier the archive function. Now, I don't have it fully enabled yet, but I do want to show you a little bit about it. How it works is now, under the EFM, now you have this multiple SQL connection. So this has been around forever, your SQL connection for the RightFax database. But now you also have a couple of new ones. This is your fax images. So you know the new feature that you can store RightFax fax images in SQL, so you can choose, if you check this, you will now store your images as a blob in SQL, not as a separate image on your SAN or NAS, or maybe on just a C or D drive or locally on the server. That's where you enable it, and you can choose the SQL connection. You can choose to keep it within the RightFax database, or you can choose a separate database. And the third one now is the fax archiving. So this is where, if you turned on the archiving, you would then enable an archive database here. So you check this and choose a different database, and now the images would be stored in a separate database, cleaning up space in your RightFax database, not making it too large, and also in some cases cleaning up a lot of space on your image store if you're not using the store images in SQL setting here. A lot of that is enabled from the aging and archiving. So this is where you would enable this. So you would set it for how many days, and then after this amount of days is when you could move it to the archive. Very easy. So basically, right now I have it turned off for everything, but if I enabled, let's say 30 here, 30 here, 30 here, let's say 30 here, after 30 days, instead of being deleted, if I enable the archiving, they would be archived. And to retrieve them, since it's not enabled, I can't show it to you yet, but I can show you what it would look like. There would be a folder right under main that would say RightFax archive. And you'd click on the folder, and then you'd get your archive faxes with all the capability you have from the same capabilities as the faxes you have in the all folder or in anyone else's folders. You would be able to search on it, search metadata, delete it from the archive, delete in bulk, print, just about anything. Actually, everything you could do from the fax util to your faxes that are in your all folder or any one of your subfolders, you now could do from your archive folder, with not affecting performance on your RightFax server. While I'm in the Enterprise Fax Manager, a couple of other minor things I wanted to show you real quick. Some later slides we talk about retry settings and things like that. Just wanted to go through some of your brook trout settings. Not much has changed here really. Actually, I apologize. I wanted to go into the server module. And this is now a little bit more granular, your retry settings. So you can do it on different type of failures. In previous versions, it was just 5 and 5 for all what they call non-critical failures. Now you can break it up into busies, human answered. So busy would be a retry, a human answered. It really breaks up all the non-permanent failures. Like a permanent failure in some cases would be like a human answer. You really don't want it to try again. But in this case, you can break it out here. Or if you get a special info tone, you might say, I never want to send it again, just do one. It's really up to you, and it makes it a little more granular. Okay, we're going to continue now with the next slide. Next, we'll move on to some of the new administrative features. With the new Shared Services module, admins have a simple and less disruptive way to upgrade shared services environments. Now, all servers in a collective will look to a central location for a service release deployment package and upgrade themselves automatically. This will update your server in the middle of the night with a pre-timed maintenance and will apply updates right away and may lead to some downtime. We urge caution when using this update. Okay, now we'll talk about the SQL image storage module. This is a really nice enhancement that many customers have personally asked me about. Many of you already have a SQL environment with different types of redundancy. Moving the images into your SQL environment will allow RightFax to take advantage of whatever redundancies you're already using. It also takes away the requirements to have a shared image store such as a NAS or SAN, which can be challenging for some organizations. OpenText has tested this module and there is no performance degradation compared to traditional image storage. There is an additional cost for this module. Now this feature is great for customers that already have a robust SQL high availability strategy and want to keep that strategy to their fax images and metadata. The updated MFP connectors simplify the administration and use of your MFP devices. More and more organizations are integrating their MFPs with RightFax and are benefiting from the cost savings of removing all the analog lines and the increased security of having all paper documents that are sent from the MFP stored electronically. Once a document is sent from an MFP that is integrated with RightFax, you benefit from all the features that RightFax has to offer, including email notifications, encryption, and security. So this update enhances the way RightFax admins are able to integrate RightFax with their existing MFP fleet. Okay, administrative roles are an important enhancement since in previous versions you either had regular users or full administrators. Now you can give users limited administrative roles, such as a user that can control addition and deletion of users, but cannot change RightFax service configurations. This is a great feature for organizations that have multiple support tiers or are onboarding a new RightFax admin. So continuing administrative features, we have a few new features introduced in 16.2 and then carried to 16.4 that will help ease administrative tasks. Delegate rights can now be managed through EFM and administrators can disable or enable accounts. Administrators will also be able to set up separate retry settings for transmissions. So we found that these features have alleviated some of the major pain points for RightFax administrators. Okay, let's talk about some new cloud service features. RightFax users have discussed the increased need for improved communication reach. We will go through some of the most prominent new features and how they'll benefit your reach with RightFax. Currently, sending SMS messages through a RightFax server is a very complex task and requires additional software. This new module will allow organizations to configure text messages for notifications and alerts using the OpenText cloud. So this feature helps organizations incorporate their text messages and mobile devices into their communication strategy. With customers moving to RightFax Connect, some users and administrators of RightFax lack visibility into complete fax statuses and real-time fax progress. With 16.4, users will now see interim fax status updates, including insight into retries. This will eliminate the confusion and concern about how those faxes were behaving and provides the same experience as on-premise. This gives more power and control to the administrator's hands. For organizations using RightFax Connect, this update gives better insight into the current status of faxes. Okay, RightFax Managed Services. Now this isn't a new feature, but a good reminder. OpenText does offer RightFax Managed Services to help organizations receive expert management of your RightFax infrastructure. You can also learn how to reduce the complexity of your system, such as learning how to eliminate complex on-site infrastructure and integration, as well as how to scale your infrastructure. For organizations that no longer want to run RightFax in-house, this is a new option to offload RightFax administrative tasks to OpenText. Okay, we'll wrap up the new features of RightFax 16 with industry and compliance. First, we'll start with secure FOIP channels. So when customers need to secure and encrypt their fax over IP traffic, OpenText added this feature to add in a new channel option that supports TLS over SIP. With TLS, you gain endpoint authentication by using mutual or two-way authentication on a hop-by-hop basis, allowing you to improve security and giving you flexible channel options. RightFax can encrypt faxes at rest using the encryption module, and now Secure FOIP adds another layer of security to your RightFax system. Users often need to secure and encrypt emails from their RightFax server. With TLS SSL for e-transport, users can send emails that have been secured and encrypted while utilizing a cloud-based email provider such as Google or Office 365. Expanding flexibility of messaging will give organizations more control over the security of their email traffic and the ability to send emails to recipients instead of faxes. This gives another option for organizations to enhance the security of their emails with encryption. Great for organizations using cloud-based email providers such as Office 365 or Gmail. Confidential information sent to the wrong recipient due to manual fax number entry is a potential compliance and security risk. With Send Fax Phone Book restriction, you can disable manual fax number entries to help reduce human error and limit certain users to only send faxes to phone book recipients. You can expect to decrease your compliance risk and limit user error regarding confidential information. This is the perfect feature to cut down on human errors related to manual fax entry if your fax contents are already known. Finally, we'll review some takeaways. So first of all, RightFax 16.2 will now be the primary release version for new and upgrading customers. If you are running a version of RightFax that is in sustaining maintenance, which was 10.5 early, we should talk about getting you upgraded to a supported version. The new Fax Util Web and WebAdmin eliminate the need to install thick clients. New administrative tools will make administrating a RightFax server much easier. The RightFax Archive module will greatly simplify the archival and retrieval of faxes. And lastly, new security features will make your RightFax server even more compliant and secure. Let me walk you through a typical Advantage upgrade PS project. So we break it into 4 steps. So step 1 would be project planning, which we would talk about the design, we develop a project plan, and we'd also document current integrations. Next would be new install and migration. So that would be a fresh install of RightFax. We would configure the system to match your current system. And then lastly, migrate the existing faxes and users and anything else on the system, such as library documents, overlays. So basically at that point, the systems are clones of each other, except the new one is running the newer version. Step 3 would be user acceptance testing. So we would basically temporarily point users and applications to the new environment, make sure faxes convert, make sure applications can communicate properly with the new version, and if any issues pop up, resolve them. Finally is system cutover. There's where the outage kicks in. That's when we actually move telecom to the new system. So in a gateway scenario, you would repoint your gateway to the new environment, which would then stop production faxes would flow to the new environment, not the old. If it was SIP to a carrier, we would then configure our Brookchild config to point to the new carrier and have the carrier point to us, and make sure we also have a rollback plan. There is some outage during this period, but is very minimal. In some cases, it could be less than half hour. The biggest hurdle is really on the client side. You need to then point all your clients to the new system, so you have to make sure either through DNS, through a load balancer, or maybe a reinstall of the client, you're now pointing to the new environment during the cutover.